A cold, self-made millionaire believes love is just a weakness, until he hears the broken sobs of the woman he pushed away. Her tears strip away his arrogance, forcing him to confront his past, his loneliness, and the price of his choices. In choosing her heart over his fortune, he finally discovers what it truly means to be rich. It was past midnight at his waterfront mansion in Miami. The house was quiet, the ocean outside a dark sheet of glass. He had just finished telling Lily Hart that their arrangement was over. No relationship, no job, no more. He had been calm, almost bored, as he ended it. He had watched the color drain from her face, watched her press her lips together so she wouldn't cry in front of him. She had simply nodded, thanked him for the opportunity, and walked out with her back impossibly straight. Now, through the open door, he heard her breaking. Her voice came from the guest house near the pool, muffled but clear in the still night. "I was so stupid," she whispered, her words cracked and hoarse. "I actually thought he cared. God, Lily, how could you fall in love with someone like that?" Adrian froze on the terrace. He had stepped out for air, scotch in hand, to enjoy the silence after a long, ugly week. Instead, every soft sob pierced the armor he had spent years building. "Love," she had said, "love." His chest tightened in a strange, unfamiliar way. He told himself to walk away. She was an employee, no, a former employee. This was exactly why he kept things simple, why he didn't promise anything he couldn't deliver. Inside the guest house, something crashed. Maybe she had knocked over a lamp. Her breath came fast, almost panicked. "It wasn't about the money," she whispered fiercely, as if arguing with herself. "I didn't want anything from him, and he still looked at me like I'm trash, like my heart is cheap." Adrian's fingers clenched around his glass. The ice clinked against crystal. He had looked at her like that, cold, suspicious, today in his office, tonight again when he ended it and threw the NDA on the table like a weapon. "Sign it," he had said. "You'll be well compensated. It's more than you've ever made in your life. Just keep your mouth shut about us." Us, as if there had never been an us. He heard another sob, raw and broken, and there was no mistaking the pain in it. This wasn't the fake crying he'd heard from models and socialites when they didn't get the car, or the watch, or the condo they wanted. This was a heart cracking open. Adrian stood very still on the terrace, the warm Miami breeze touching his face, the lights from the pool reflecting faintly on the glass walls of his home. For the first time in years, his certainty felt thin and fragile. What if I'm wrong? The thought came quick and unwelcome. He had built his entire world on the belief that love was a weakness, that people lied for money, sold affection for status, traded feelings like currency. He had believed that about Lily too, until he heard her cry. 2 months earlier, the first time Adrian met Lily Hart, she was on her knees, covered in coffee. The new Hale Grand Hotel had opened only 3 weeks ago, a tall, shining glass tower in downtown Miami. That morning, the roof terrace hosted a high-profile charity breakfast. Millionaires and influencers, cameras everywhere, champagne at 9 in the morning. Lily was only supposed to be dropping off pastries from the small cafe where she worked. The event planner had ordered last minute and begged her boss. Lily needed the extra cash, so she agreed to come before her shift at the hotel cleaning laundry. She moved carefully through the crowd in cheap black flats, balancing a steel coffee pot in one hand and a tray of croissants in the other. She kept her head down. Everyone here shimmered, dresses, watches, smiles. She didn't belong, and she knew it. "Excuse me," someone laughed behind her. "Careful, sweetheart, you don't want to spill on a $10,000 suit." She turned at the same moment a man stepped backward from a conversation, and her shoulder bumped something solid. The tray jerked, and hot coffee sloshed forward, splashing down the front of a navy suit. The man swore under his breath, low but sharp. Lily's heart dropped. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," she gasped, putting the tray down quickly. Her hands shook as she grabbed napkins. "I didn't see." "It's fine," he cut in, voice as cold as the steel in his watch. "Step back." She obeyed, but her cheeks burned. She watched him take the napkins from her hand with long, controlled fingers. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with light brown hair combed back, and a face that looked like it had been carved for magazine covers. Strong jaw, straight nose, mouth too firm to be soft. His eyes were a cool gray, and right now they were fixed on the brown stain spreading across his white shirt. "I'm so sorry," she said again, because what else was there to say? "I can get club soda or pay for the cleaning." "Can you?" he asked without looking at her. There was no obvious accent, just the lazy drawl of wealth and old private schools. "Do you have any idea how much this shirt costs?" Lily's spine stiffened. "No," she said quietly, "but I know how much I make in a week and I'll still try." His gaze lifted to her face then, and for a second something flickered there, surprised that she had spoken back. He looked her over. The simple black dress, the cheap cafe apron, the small silver cross at her throat. "She doesn't belong here," one of the women at his table whispered, not quietly enough. "Honestly, Adrian, your staff." "Ms. Hart," called the event planner, hurrying over, breathless. "What happened?" "I bumped into him," Lily said before anyone else could answer. "It was my fault." "Of course it was," the woman muttered. The man, Adrian, finally handed the now brown napkins back to Lily. "Get back to your job," he said evenly. "And next time watch where you're going. Carelessness is expensive." Heat rose behind Lily's eyes, but she swallowed it down. She could not cry here, not in front of these people. Not over a shirt that probably cost more than her rent. "Understood, sir," she murmured. As she turned away, she heard the event planner make frantic apologetic sounds, offering to cover the cleaning, the suit, anything. Adrian's reply was low and disgusted, but she caught one word clearly. "Incompetent." Half an hour later, Lily was in the hotel staff laundry room, sleeves rolled up, sorting towels so fast her fingers ached. The bleach smell stung her nose. She stared at the industrial washers instead of letting the memory play in her head. Incompetent, careless. Those words were dangerous. They could cost her this job, too. She had 3 jobs already. She couldn't afford to lose one. At 11:30, her phone buzzed in her apron pocket. She pulled it out with wet fingers and saw a text from her younger brother, Noah. "Mom's coughing again. You working late?" Lily's throat tightened. She typed back quickly. "I'll pick up medicine on my way home. Keep the window open." She had $10 in her wallet, maybe enough for cough syrup and 1 bus fare if she walked part of the way. The laundry room door opened. "Ms. Hart." Lily jumped, then turned. Her stomach dropped for the second time that morning. Adrian Hale stood in the doorway, his navy suit jacket gone, his shirt changed. His gray eyes swept the room, taking in the piles of towels, the humming machines, and finally her. Up close, he looked even more expensive. The watch on his wrist probably cost more than everything she owned put together. Lily wiped her hands on her apron, trying not to smear detergent on herself. "Sir, I'm really sorry about." "I didn't come down here for an apology," he said, "although it's refreshing that at least you know the word." The jab pricked, but she pressed her lips together. He stepped inside, the door closing softly behind him. "You work for Hale Hotels?" he asked. "Yes, sir, housekeeping, part-time," she said. "And at Cafe Luna downtown, that's where the catering was from this morning." He studied her face as if trying to put her in a box. 2 jobs. 3, actually, she said before she could stop herself. "I clean offices on Saturday nights." One of his eyebrows lifted, only slightly. "Ambitious." "Desperate," she corrected, then flushed. "I mean, I have responsibilities." "Don't we all?" His gaze flicked to the buzzing phone in her hand before she could hide it. "I have a question, Ms. Hart. When you walked away this morning after spilling coffee on me, what did you think of me?" Lily swallowed, honestly. "I don't ask questions if I don't want the truth." She glanced at the floor. "I thought you were rude and arrogant." She lifted her chin then. "But I also thought I deserved it. I did spill coffee on you." For a heartbeat, his mouth almost twitched. Not a smile, something close. "How old are you?" he asked. 24. "Do you want to be cleaning laundry rooms for the rest of your life, Ms. Hart?" Her heart thudded. No. "What do you want?" he pressed. No one ever asked her that. People asked when she could take an extra shift, or if she could cover someone, or if she'd bring home groceries. Not what she wanted. "I want," she hesitated, then forced the words out. "I want to be an interior designer. I like spaces, making things beautiful, making people feel safe." Yet you spill coffee on people who can afford to hire designers. His voice was dry, heat crept up her neck. "I had one bad moment," she said. "I'm not always like that." He watched her for a long second. Then, to her shock, he reached into his pocket, pulled out a business card, and held it out between two fingers. "You were in the wrong place at the wrong time this morning," he said. "But maybe you're in the right one now. Tomorrow evening, 9 o'clock, 20th floor, we're redoing the layout of our new rooftop lounge. My designer quit last week. Come after your shift. Bring whatever you have that proves you want to be more than a cleaner." She stared at the card. I don't understand. Are you offering me?" "I'm offering you a chance. Don't spill anything on anyone this time." With that, he turned and left the laundry room, leaving the smell of expensive cologne and his card burning in her hand. The next evening, Lily stood outside the glass doors of the 20th floor lounge with a folder clutched to her chest. Her palms were sweaty. She could see her reflection in the dark glass. Simple ponytail, cheap pink blouse, black jeans that had faded too quickly. Behind the door, the unfinished lounge opened to huge windows and a view of downtown Miami exploding with lights. Workmen were packing up tools. Rolls of fabric leaned against walls. It looked chaotic and beautiful at the same time. "Are you coming in or planning to redesign the hallway?" A voice drawled behind her. She spun around. Adrian was there, phone in hand, wearing another perfect suit. His eyes dropped to the folder she held. "You came," he said, as if he had been 50-50 on whether she would. "I said I would," she replied. "I don't usually turn down chances." He pushed open the door and gestured for her to enter. She stepped inside, her breath catching at the view. The sunset painted the city in pink and gold. "Wow," she murmured before she could stop herself. He watched her, not the view. "You like it?" "It's incredible," she said simply. "Good, because right now it's a mess." He led her to a big table covered in blueprints and swatches. "Show me what you brought." Her fingers trembled slightly as she opened the folder. Inside were sketches on cheap paper, some smudged at the edges. She laid them out carefully. "They're rough," she said quickly. "I draw on my breaks and on the bus, and in my head mostly." He picked one up. It was a small cafe she had imagined, with plants hanging from the ceiling, cozy chairs, soft lights. People inside were smiling. "The chairs are mismatched," he observed. "Yeah, I like that," she said. "It feels more real, like life. Not everything should match. It's boring when it does." He looked at her then, the corner of his mouth almost lifted. "You really don't know how to talk to rich people, do you?" She flushed. "Sorry, I don't mean." "Don't apologize." He spread her sketches out, studying each one. There were tiny apartments that somehow didn't feel small, waiting rooms that didn't feel like punishment, a bedroom with a big window and fairy lights. "You draw emotion into space," he said finally. "That's the idea," she said softly. After a long moment, he put the last sketch down. "My usual designer charges me $500 an hour," he said. "You, Ms. Hart, are cheap." She winced. "But you see something my expensive designer didn't," he went on. "You see people actually living here, not just posing for social media." She blinked. "Is that good?" "For my hotels, yes." He leaned on the table, closer now. "I won't call you a designer, you're not trained, but I will hire you as a consultant for this lounge, 3 weeks, part-time. I want your eyes on the layout, the seating, the lighting. I want it to feel like somewhere people can breathe." Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure he could hear it. "You're serious?" "I don't joke about business," he said. "You'll be paid double your housekeeping rate. You'll report to me." Double, her knees almost went weak. That could pay for her mom's medicine, for Noah's school trip, maybe even for one evening class at the community college. "Why are you doing this?" she asked quietly. "This morning you called me incompetent." I said your action was careless, he corrected. There's a difference. Everyone deserves a chance to prove they're more than their worst moment. Do you want the job or not? She swallowed the lump in her throat. Yes, I want it. Good, he straightened. One more thing, this is not a charity. If you mess this up, if you're late, if you treat this like a hobby, I'll fire you. Understand? She nodded, I understand. Then we have a deal. He held out his hand. She hesitated, then took it. His palm was warm, his grip firm. Something buzzed under her skin, and she pulled away too quickly. His eyes lingered on her face for a fraction of a second. Tomorrow, 7 p.m., he said. Don't be late, Ms. Hart. Over the next 2 weeks, Lily stepped into a world she had only seen on TV. By day, she scrubbed bathrooms and changed sheets on the 15th floor. By evening, she rode the elevator up to 20, where the unfinished lounge slowly turned into something real. At first, Adrian barely spoke to her. He listened. He asked sharp questions. Why here? Why that color? Why move those chairs closer? He took notes on his tablet while she pointed and explained, cheeks warm. He always wore perfect suits. He was always on his phone. He always seemed slightly distracted, like part of his mind was in 12 other places. But sometimes, late at night, when the workers had gone home and only they remained under the soft construction lights, something in him softened. One evening, she found him standing by the glass wall, looking out at the city lights. Do you ever get tired of it? She asked from behind him. Of what? He replied without turning. Being up here, looking down on everyone else. He glanced back at her, one eyebrow raised. You think I'm looking down on them? Aren't you? She asked honestly. You're up here, they're down there, seems like that's how your life works, you watching everyone from above. He considered that. It's quieter up here, he said. I grew up sharing a room with 2 brothers in a building where you could hear your neighbors' fights through the wall. Silence was luxury. She hadn't known he had brothers. She hadn't known anything about him, really, beyond what the internet said. Self-made millionaire, real estate, hotels, ruthless in business, women on his arm in photos. Where was that? She asked. In a part of this city you avoid after dark. His tone was flat, a boundary. I don't avoid any part of this city, she said softly. I live in one of those buildings. He turned fully to look at her. She was standing a few feet away, arms wrapped around herself. You live alone? He asked. With my mom and my younger brother, she said. My dad, he left a long time ago. His mouth tightened. Father's vastly overrated. There was bitterness in his voice that surprised her. Why do you work this much? He asked. 3 jobs, college dreams, sick mother, what are you trying to prove? That I can take care of them, she said simply. That I don't run away when things are hard, that I'm not him. His eyes rested on her for a long moment. Then he nodded very slightly, as if something about that answer made sense to him. One night, as they argued over the placement of a low wall that would divide the dance floor from the lounge area, Lily's phone buzzed again. She checked the screen and her blood ran cold. It was Noah. 5 missed calls, a text. Mom can't breathe right. I called 911. Her chest squeezed. Adrian noticed her face change. What is it? He asked. My mom, she managed. I have to go, I'm sorry. I know we're in the middle of this, but... Go, he said immediately. Text me when you get there. She blinked. You're not angry. Do I look angry? His gaze was sharp now, assessing. You're white as a sheet, go Ms. Hart. She ran for the elevator. The night became a blur of sirens, hospital corridors, and the beeping of machines. Her mother lay small and pale in the emergency bed, oxygen mask over her face. The doctor used words like chronic, asthma, medication, and cost. Lily sat beside the bed until her back ached, signing papers she didn't fully understand, calculating numbers in her head. By 3 in the morning, when they finally stabilized her mother, she stepped into the hallway to call Noah. Her legs felt like rubber. She never remembered how she made it home. The next day, she moved like a ghost through her housekeeping shift, her mind back at the hospital, counting hours until visiting time. That evening, when she got to the lounge, Adrian was already there, alone, typing on his laptop. He looked up as she entered. "How is she?" he asked. "How did you?" She stopped. "Right, I texted you. I'm sorry, I forgot." "You told me to remind you to get samples from the marble supplier," he said dryly. "You wrote, also, Mom is in the hospital, might be late, sorry." Then nothing. Guilt flared. "I'm sorry, I should have." "Lily," he interrupted, and it was the first time he used her first name. "Is she all right?" The simple question, the concern in his voice, almost broke her. "She will be," Lily said, her throat tight. "But she needs medication every month. It's expensive. I don't know how I'm going to—" She cut herself off. She didn't talk about money with people like him. He closed his laptop. "How much?" he asked. She stiffened. "It doesn't matter, I'll figure it out." "How much?" he repeated. "Why?" she challenged. "So you can feel like a savior, so you can throw some cash at me and feel good about yourself." His eyes flashed. "You think I care about feeling good about myself?" He stepped closer. "If your mother dies because you were afraid to ask for help, do you think your pride will keep you warm at night?" The words punched through her walls. Lily looked down. "The doctor said it's about $800 a month." "Done," he said. She jerked her head up. "What?" "I'll cover it," he said simply. "I'll have my assistant call the hospital and arrange direct payment for her medication." Her heart slammed. "Number Adrian, I can't, that's too much, I can't owe you." "Consider it a bonus," he said, "for saving my rooftop lounge from looking like a furniture showroom catalog, or consider it an investment. Healthy mother equals less distracted consultant." She stared at him. "You can't just buy my problems away." "No, but I can make this one a bit smaller." He held her gaze. "Let me, Lily." Tears burned behind her eyes. "Why?" she whispered. "Why do you care?" For a second, something raw flashed across his face. "Because I know what it's like to lose a mother too soon," he said quietly. "And to feel like money could have stopped it. I have money now, so I'll use it, simple." Her breath caught. The hard edges of him shifted for a moment, revealing something fragile underneath. "Thank you," she managed. "I don't know how to—" "Don't," he cut in. "I don't do this for gratitude or for feelings." He seemed to pull himself back together. "Now, can we get back to that wall? You were wrong about moving it. I'm prepared to prove it." She let out a shaky laugh. The tension broke. "You're impossible," she said. "So I've been told," he replied, but his eyes were softer now when they met hers. People noticed the changes. The staff joked in the break room. "Have you seen Lily? Little Miss Housekeeping is up there with the boss every night. She's moving up." Or lying down, cruel laughter. Rumors grew like mold. Someone snapped a blurry photo of her and Adrian leaving the hotel together after midnight one night, both looking tired but smiling. The picture made its way to a small gossip blog. "Mystery girl melts Miami's coldest millionaire," the headline declared. "Is Adrian Hale finally in love?" The article was mostly guesses and recycled information about his past relationships, but it had one thing Lily hadn't expected. Her full name. She saw it 2 days later on her lunch break, when her coworker shoved her phone in Lily's face. "That you?" Carla squealed. "Girl, look at you, I told you he liked you." Lily's stomach flipped as she read. Her photo, her bad angle, messy ponytail, cheap jacket, was now on a gossip site next to professional shots of Adrian in tuxedos. "He doesn't like me," Lily said quickly. "It's a job, that's all." "Right," Carla said, clearly not believing a word. Lily spent the rest of the day with anxiety crawling under her skin. That night when she stepped into the lounge, Adrian was already pacing, his jaw tight. He held up his phone. "Care to explain this?" She flinched at the anger in his voice. "I just saw it," she said. "I had nothing to do with it, I swear. I don't even know how they got my last name." "You didn't talk to anyone?" he demanded. "No reporter, no blogger, no friend of a friend?" "No," she said, her voice rising. "I would never." "Then how did they know where you work?" he snapped. "How did they know your schedule? Those photos weren't random, Lily. Someone leaked them." I didn't, she said, hurt flashing through her. I wouldn't use you like that. His eyes hardened. Everyone uses me. For money, for fame, for a story. Do you know how much people pay for information about my life? She stared at him. Do you really think I could look after my sick mother, my brother, and 3 jobs and still have time to sell stories about you? The words hung between them. For a heartbeat, his face wavered, then a wall came down again. You're not the first one who seemed different, he said coldly. They all swear it's not about money until it is. Her chest ached. What more do you want from me? She whispered. My pride, my dignity, should I get on my knees and beg you to believe me? He looked away. The board is not happy, he said. They think you're a liability. They're worried about lawsuits about the hotel's reputation. I never asked to be in your photos, she said. I never asked to be near your life. Maybe not, he replied. But you are, and now we have to manage this. I want you to sign an NDA. You will not speak to press. You will not post online about me. You will not talk about what you see in my private life. I wasn't going to, she snapped. I'm not interested in your private life. Good, he said. Then it should be easy to sign. He pulled a thick document from a folder and slid it across the table. A pen followed. She stared at it. You already had this prepared. I always have NDAs prepared, he said. I don't like surprises. Her hand trembled as she picked up the document. The legal language blurred in front of her eyes. How much does my silence cost? She asked bitterly. It's not about the money, he said. Then why is there a check clipped to the back? She shot back. He said nothing. She flipped to the last page. There it was, a check already signed, $20,000. Her head spun. This is more than I make in a year, she whispered. Consider it compensation for the inconvenience of staying invisible, he said, and for anything personal that might have happened between us. Anger flared hot and bright, pushing back her hurt. Personal, she repeated. Is that what you call it? The late nights, the talks about your mother, the way you looked at me when... She cut herself off, cheeks burning. He didn't flinch. What would you call it? He asked. Love. The word landed between them like a slap. Don't be naive, Lily, he said harshly. You know what this is. You knew the rules. I don't do relationships. I don't promise forever. You said you understood. I understood, she whispered. I just didn't think you were this cruel. Her eyes burned, but she blinked fast. She would not cry in front of him, not now. You're fired from the lounge project, he said. You can keep your housekeeping position if you want. My lawyers think it's cleaner if we end any gray areas. I quit, she said. The words came out before she could second-guess herself. They shocked even her. His jaw tightened. Be careful, Lily. You're not in a position to walk away from money. She straightened, her heart pounding. I was never with you for money, she said. I was with you because for a moment I thought I saw a man under all that ice. I thought he cared. That's on me. I was wrong. She pushed the NDA back across the table. The check fluttered to the floor. I won't take your money, she said quietly. And I won't tell anyone your secrets, not because you threatened me, because I'm not like you. Then she turned and walked out. That had been 7 hours ago. Now, at his mansion, with the ocean whispering outside and her sobs breaking through the night, Adrian was finally forced to listen to the echo of his own words. Cruel, she had called him cruel. He had been proud of his hardness. It kept him safe. It kept people from using him. But now, hearing her cry alone in the guest house where his driver had dropped her off earlier so she could pick up a last paycheck she had refused to touch, the hardness felt less like armor and more like a cage. She actually thought he cared, Lily sobbed inside, and he handed her a check like she was nothing. His hand shook, the scotch in his glass sloshed onto his skin. Something inside him cracked. What am I doing? The question was quiet, horrified. He saw himself as a boy again, 13 and angry, standing in a hospital hallway while a nurse told him they had done everything they could for his mother. But without insurance, the hospital couldn't keep her longer. He had watched her cough herself to death in a small apartment because he couldn't afford better care. He had promised himself then that money would protect him, that he would never be powerless again, that he would never need anyone, never love anyone enough to give them the power to hurt him. And now he had become the man who used money like a weapon against a girl who looked at him the way his mother used to, with belief he didn't deserve. Adrian set the glass down. He walked down the stairs, across the terrace, and stopped outside the guest house door. Her sobs were quieter now, the sound of someone trying to hold herself together and failing. His hand hovered over the handle. "You've done enough damage," a voice in his head said. "Leave her alone." Another voice, softer but stronger, answered, "Or finally tell her the truth." He knocked. The sobbing stopped. There was a long, shaky silence, then a faint, raw, "Who is it?" "It's me," he said, hating how small his voice sounded. "Adrian." The door stayed closed. "Go away," she said, her voice hoarse. "You've done what you came to do." He pressed his forehead briefly against the wood, closing his eyes. "I came to apologize." A short, humorless laugh came from inside. "You don't know how." He swallowed. "You're right," he said, "but I'm going to try." He waited. After a long moment, the lock clicked. The door opened a few inches. Lily stood there, eyes red and swollen, hair messy, his oversized guesthouse t-shirt hanging loosely on her small frame. She looked young and heartbreakingly vulnerable. "What?" she asked, arms wrapped tightly around herself. For a moment, he forgot every clever line he had ever used in boardrooms and interviews. All that came out was the truth. "I heard you cry," he said quietly, "and I realized I've been an idiot." She stared at him, stunned. "That's it," she whispered. "That's your big speech." "No," he said. He forced himself to hold her gaze. "I realized I hurt you, and I can't stand that I did."